Okay, so how's everybody doing?
Good.
Drying off.
Yeah.
So let's see who's here. For some reason I don't recognize the man in green. Who is
I
that
think
man
that's
in
Carl.
green?
Right here?
Yeah,
That's
no,
me.
I'm just joking. Okay, all right, so we will officially open the August 16th meeting of the Bristol Energy Committee. First of all, any citizen comments or concerns?
Well, I have not so much a comment as to say, you may all know that I have a real problem with S5.
Yep.
And I believe it was a mistake. Without having the real cost available to the legislators, they should not have passed it until the second session. They would have had time to figure this out a bit more and then decide. So I am really lobbying to have an alternative, and the alternative is Act 62, which was passed in 2019. It was the Public Utility Commission's report to the legislature saying, we have studied this, and the best way to reduce Vermont's CO2 emissions and from the thermal sector would be to raise the fuel fee 2, 4, or 6 cents, which would bring in an additional 5 million or 10 million or $15 million, which would match, perhaps in short time, the availability of the workforce. Whereas if S5 actually does have a credit cost in excess of 70 cents, and it might, that's 70 cents times 250 million gallons of fuel per year would bring in the first year, $156 million. I mean, that just tells me, and I've talked with the gentleman who regulates LIHEAP, and he said he's really concerned that if it were a 70-cent increase, which is a $70 increase in a 100-gallon delivery, he said it would wipe out LIHEAP in no time. And there's really no certainty that, because we don't have Senator Leahy to kick in another $40 million or whatever, that LIHEAP will be totally underfunded as S5 goes through. So I'm very aggressively pursuing this, and even with the ANR, and I believe we will get some traction. Having said that, perhaps it might be well that I resign from the Energy Committee, because I want to have the freedom to say and do what's in my best interest.
Yeah.
You see, I live in a log home, no insulation. In the roof I do. I cannot put in a heat pump. I have to burn oil. I burn a lot of wood,
Yeah,
but I still have to burn oil.
yeah,
And my family cannot afford a $70 per 100-gallon delivery increase.
Right.
So I'm doing it in my own self-interest.
yeah.
But people live in mobile homes, people live in homes like me that cannot retrofit.
Yeah.
It's just gonna hurt people and not really meet the Global Warming Solution Act mandate of 2025 or 2030 or 2050. So I'm offering my resignation, and I want to say it's been a pleasure and a proud moment to participate, though in the last several months I don't think I've participated as much as you have, and so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, before we accept or whatever your resignation, or maybe just pause it there, I'd like to know what the rest of the group feels about that. I think we all have opinions, and we have a right to our opinions. Does not necessarily mean that our opinions are the policy of the Energy Committee. But just as if somebody came in with another opinion on the same, let's say Sally takes strong exception to that, can't we have that discussion? Would you both have to resign?
Yeah.
What do you think? Ben, what do you think?
I mean, I think that it's a gray area certainly where you, like you said, Richard. I mean, it's ultimately like the opinion the however many of us there are all have specific opinions about certain aspects of energy, and that necessarily should be separate from our work as it relates to what the actual mission of the Bristol Energy Committee is. And I think that as a group, we do a pretty good job of that already. I mean, I mean, it doesn't seem to me like it's affecting Jim's ability or willingness to be a part of the Energy Committee. So I don't think as an Energy Committee we should have any. We think it's necessary, but if that's how Jim feels, I think that's reasonable too. I don't know. I kind of didn't really answer the question, but I feel like it's ultimately like we all have a responsibility to sort of be, follow the mandate of the Energy Committee as it exists and what its mission is. And I think we do a good job of that. And we separate our personal politics, frankly, out of it in a pretty decent way, I think. So that's how I feel about it.
What do you feel, Carl?
I think you put it really well there, Ben, of we bring our own personal agendas, perspectives, opinions to the table, but I also think we do a really good job of being a unified front and finding ground that we all feel is best for the community of Bristol, and that we can also, all of us, solidly get behind. So I guess I'm like Ben, I'm not sure if I answered the question. And you need to go with your conscience, John, but I don't see a need for you, I don't personally see a need for you to resign.
Sally?
Similarly, I don't feel there's a need, but I can understand if you really want to dive in and be a part of the stuff in Montpelier more, or that kind of thing, and you're feeling that that's just where your energy is and that's where you want to pour it in, and you don't really want to be, involved in what the Energy Committee is doing as much. I totally understand that too, because I felt that when I wanted to not be the chair anymore. I was like, okay, I have other things too. I want to balance my time. I need to do something different. I'm still here on the thing, but I'm not being the chair, and it's, a big relief. And if something like that is your interest, but I think just because you want to do that, you don't have to leave the thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I want to assure you that I am also a 501c3. I'm a project of the Institute for Multi-Track Diplomacy based in Arlington, Virginia. And I am presenting myself as the director of the Louise Diamond Committee to Protect Next Generations. And Louise was once a resident of Bristol.
Really?
Yeah, and she helped organize that office just down the road. That was one of the things she did. She's deceased now.
She was a peace activist, very much, right?
Yes.
Peace.
Yes, she was a co-founder of the Institute for Multi-Track Diplomacy along with deceased Ambassador John McDonald. So I am a 501c3, and I will use that to benefit the position I'm trying to get the executive branch to embrace.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're saying that I can continue, then I will.
Yeah, and what we might do is suggest, I'd really like to have you and Jim Dumont sit down and talk. Maybe we could meet and kind of go back and forth, because, all of us have problems with S5. But I think it could be interesting to continue the conversation.
If that's something that you might organize, I would be more than happy to
Okay.
do that, yeah.
I think we just need to decide, is this an Energy Committee thing, or is this just something we want to do around that? That's the thing.
I guess to me,
Figure that out.
it's simply a matter of information, not a position.
Yeah.
And we need to make that clear.
Okay.
Does that make
So you're
sense?
doing this as a separate track from the Energy Committee?
Kind of, well, we'll bring back what we've learned, but it's just an information thing, does that make sense?
Sure.
I think that makes sense. I mean, yeah, we can say like I'm writing down that we've talked about this, and where we feel like this is a valid thing that Jim has brought up, we're going to take it away from the Bristol Energy Committee, have a discussion, and then we'll bring back whatever information comes out of that as it relates to S5, because S5 has a significant impact on the town of Bristol and the way that the town of Bristol uses energy. So we're not taking it as a committee. We're not going to take a position on any part of it necessarily. I think it's just an important informational thing, activity, we'll say, that we can come back and talk about once it's happened outside of the scope of the committee, if that makes sense.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I may just add one other thing. It's quite obvious that Senator Bray has an involvement in the Energy Committee. He may want equal time, but I don't believe this is a discussion that the Energy Committee should host.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
And
That's
having
great.
said all of that, I do have a prior engagement that I do have to go to.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been one of those days. But again, I thank you for your confidence in me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
We're not saying that.
Don't take it too
I
far.
said that. You didn't.
I really appreciate
Yeah, I do
the
too.
things you think about and work with,
Yeah.
and all your work with legislation and all that. I think it's great, and I appreciate your articles, and, yeah,
Good. There'll be more.
yeah, great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good night.
See you.
Good night.
Okay, I guess let's approve the 6:21 minutes that Ben sent out. I think they're always fantastic.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were great.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have old business, and we'll try to go through these fairly quickly. The Municipal Energy Resiliency Program. Today, I think I finished submitting all of the data to Molly Shropshire at the Regional Planning Commission, so she can formally enter it, and then really that's all we have to do to cause the Building and General Services to really ensure that the information is there. The information is most of the utility data for 3 years for Holly Hall, the library, and Howden Hall. At the select board meeting, the select board asked me to submit for the level 2 assessments for all 3 buildings. I had thought that we might do level 2 just for the library and Holly Hall, but it makes sense if we could get the big 4-hour assessment, as they call it. That opens us up to a pathway for potential federal funds that would not be possible with the level 1 assessment, which is basically a walkthrough. So we know Maddie advised us to do level 2s for that reason, essentially. She said there is federal money for various programs coming through that might enable even things like looking at district geothermal for the downtown, which would be a very big money thing. But the goal of all this, as you know, in the legislation, is to get as much of our building stock off of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
At the very least, to the most efficient form of fossil fuel. And so that's gonna be one heck of a project. And if we can lever federal funds, that'd be great. So that's where we are right now.
So, I'm sorry, Richard, you talked about all three buildings, and I was making notes for something else, so I missed. I've got library, Holly Hall, and what was the
Howard
third building?
Hall
Oh, Howard
and
Hall.
the Historical Society.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Hysterical society.
Any questions?
No, that's great, thank you for working on that.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I always remain optimistic until I find out otherwise.
Yeah, yeah.
Sally, Thermal Energy Networks.
Okay, the latest is that I was just at a summit over in Randolph. It's the Vermont Community Leadership Summit that happens once a year, I think. And it was a chance for all energy committees and any people, not to do with energy, anyone who has projects in their communities. It's all about rural development and communities and what they need to go forth with whatever it is. There are so many different people there doing different things, and there were 3 chances to go and see presenters and people who are there to help, either with grants and just any kind of help. It's like you just, I don't know, it's a great event. I really had a great time. So let me try to see one of the things I did was the speed networking, where you just talk with people and talk about what your own project is or what. And so I was able to talk about networked geothermal, and a lot of people, of course, haven't heard about it, and people were really excited about it, and it was great to talk about it and share and have people ask questions. And so by doing these 7-minute quick conversations with people around the room, they end up asking you questions that you wouldn't have heard of. And so that was really good both ways, and to hear what other people are doing. And that's from all sorts of different things. Anyway, and then so session 2 was, that first one was just kind of sharing stuff. Then it was get it done and talking with people, resource leaders, to discuss your project. And we talked with Gary Holloway from the Department of Housing and Community Development. He's a downtown program coordinator, so he works with downtowns and helps them. And he is someone we could call and ask about things if we have thoughts on how we could do something in the downtown and that kind of thing. So it's good to make that connection. And then that's Vermont help, and then there's federal help. And Misty Cinsigali is the area person for Vermont and New Hampshire. She's a director of the USDA Rural Development, federal funds. So she was very interested in hearing about the geothermal network stuff, and she said, anytime you want to talk, just give a call. And then another woman from the office of Bernie was there too, and another person to talk to about grants and this and that. So,
Did you
anyway.
get the contact information?
Yeah, I do have a list at home.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
So it just feels like it was, there are people to help with projects. It could be any kind of project. It could be nothing to do with geothermal networks, but it's good to know there are people to help with all kinds of things.
Did they have essentially a session in which you indicate the projects that you thought were particularly good and they ranked them on this one?
I didn't.
Probably.
No, they had so many different sessions. You could choose from like 40 different things, and I went to 3 during the day. So maybe that was there.
No, I don't think so. I think that's another thing, but great. Keep us apprised on all of this stuff, because we don't know, we really don't know.
Yeah.
When the opportunities are gonna come, if they're gonna come.
Yeah. And I just remembered session 3 was actually a different one than the 2 that I just said before. Those were the same session. But the 3rd session was engaging the private sector in community development. And there was a group of panelists, and it was interesting to see how private people mixed with people doing community things. So that's another thing. Yeah, anyway, it was really inspiring.
Good. And a network geothermal in downtown Bristol would be a public-private, would have to be.
Yeah.
So we'd have to get the landlords
Yeah.
in on it too, so.
Yeah, whoever
Great.
wanted to be involved.
Yeah. Okay, EV chargers, just very quickly. There's a program now in the hands of Green Mountain Power called the Vermont Community EV Chargers Program. And the point there is to get EV chargers out everywhere. And so I submitted the grant for Bristol for an EV charger station adjacent to the park. We had thought about 2 level 2s and a level 3, but the level 2s now are being developed with such high capacity choices that a 2-slot level 2 would cost, we had the bid from Norwich Energy, would cost $29,000 installed, whereas 1 level 3 might cost as much as $150,000. Now GMP's gonna pay for 95% of the cost, but even so, it just seems like a colossal waste when the enhanced level 2s, the one that we're looking at, will provide 50 miles per hour to a typical car. So they could come and park for 2 hours and get 100 miles of range.
That's great.
Which would get them to their motel or back home or whatever. So it really makes sense probably to go with the level 2s.
And that would be great for people who live in an apartment here and they can't,
Yes.
they can just come over, fill it for a couple hours and take the car home.
Yep.
I think that's awesome because we've had a hard time getting them at multi-family housing.
Yeah, and that's another grant with the same program. I just haven't had time to talk to people to figure out where we might put something for renters, like in the back of the building somewhere. Because think about it, if we start adding electric vehicles at the rate that we're told we need to add them, the renters particularly are gonna have a really rough time. In finding a place to charge. So.
People have been asking, we're at, what's it called, something Meadows, over on Plank, or what's the road?
Plank Road?
I mean, you go up north and you take the left.
Take the left.
As if you're going to Four Hills.
Yeah.
The paved road, and that apartment building on the left, there's like 12 or so, I don't know how many units, but, people are like, what, we need.
Do you know people there?
What's her name, League of Women Voters, Debbie, is it Debbie, or? Yeah, I think
when you think of it.
She's been asked, she asks me once in a while, she says, what's up? Okay.
Because that would be an ideal place to apply for one of these grants.
All right.
Okay. Window dressers, I thought Allison was gonna be here, but obviously something came up.
I can talk to you about that.
Okay.
What's the question, just in general?
Just in general,
Update,
yeah.
okay. We were scheduled to measure two homes, a daughter and a mother, it's 2 different homes, just this past week, but then it didn't work out for them for us to come, so, but they're the only people who've signed up to have their windows measured. The other people, I think that's the only ones that we're gonna be doing. And
For Bristol.
They're actually living in Lincoln.
Okay.
People are living in Lincoln,
I see.
but all the other people, Allison wrote to, emailed, or called, and hasn't heard back from anyone, so no one seems to want. And I think what happened is some of those folks probably thought about it, wanted to be entered into the possibility, and so it went into the system. in Middlebury's list that they had last year. And then, here's the person who'll answer that.
Oh, good.
And then,
Hi, Allison.
and then they, when we called, then Middlebury said, oh, here okay, we're gonna let you answer this question. So with window dressers, we only have 2 people who we're gonna measure, because all the other people were in the machine, in the system, but you called them and they didn't really, they didn't call
either
back, they
didn't
didn't,
respond or whatever.
or they don't, they're not interested,
So I'm not gonna chase
for,
them down.
yeah, right, so for some reason, they were still left in the system, even though they didn't really want them. So that's why we thought we had
More.
like 12 people or something or attending.
So
we-
Middlebury measured 3, and we're gonna measure 2.
Okay, so Middlebury did take
Yeah,
3 of
three.
3, okay, great. So, one thing I wonder is that gonna be okay for Charlotte? Because we said we were gonna give them a certain number.
I'm still trying to get a hold of him.
Okay.
He's not very responsive.
That's true, and I've heard that for years, so hold tight.
As soon as I know, you guys will all know.
Great.
Okay.
All right, that's, so,
We kind of would shift down maybe to, do we want to feature window dressers at the Harvest Festival?
No.
That's the next item, no?
unless we were planning to do a whole thing next year, but it just seems a little early to deal with that and think about that.
Yeah, I mean, we might talk, if we have a table, we might just talk to people about, we'd love to have one here, but we need volunteers. We don't wanna drum up a whole bunch of business. We wanna drum up volunteers who are willing to like run with it, right?
Information and a sign-up sheet for people
Who might want to volunteer.
Yeah.
So I could provide that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because we don't wanna do a whole lot of, outreach to get more customers when we can't,
Yeah,
we can't satisfy the demand,
Yeah,
so.
okay. In general, how are things going in the state?
Pretty good. We have 22 builds this year in the state.
Wow.
Hardwick was gonna be a new build, but they're kind of waiting because the guy who was running it lost like a couple buildings and a couple vehicles, so they got hit hard.
yeah,
And then somebody up in the northwest, Franklin and Franklin County, she couldn't get it together enough to do it, so they're gonna do next year, but there's one in St. Johnsbury and Linden, which is new. And there is one in Stowe that's new.
great.
I'm trying to get some traction in Chittenden County, Essex and South Burlington, which is part of my ulterior motive for going to the Champlain Valley Fair, to try to get those people a little spun up.
Okay.
Their energy committees spun up to maybe do something, because it would be great if we had another one in Chittenden County.
Yeah.
And then, we'll see what happens in Addison County this year, next year.
Did you get contacted by the South Burlington Energy
Yeah, what's his
Committee?
name? Who was that? What was the person's name?
The person I was in contact with is Sam Swanson, but he's not the chair.
No.
There was somebody else who was supposed to get in touch with you. Didn't do it? Okay, I'll see Sam tomorrow and ask
Okay.
him.
Okay, yeah, because I would love to be able to just go talk to them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, if you guys know of any opportunities for me to go to like a energy committee meeting and talk to them about the opportunity to do window dressers, I'd love to do that.
Okay.
And then we're trying to get some more in Rutland County, because we don't have any in Rutland County either.
Oh, really?
So the big areas are the Northeast Kingdom, the Upper Valley, Montpelier and Barry. Theirs is going to be a little bit smaller than it has ever been, just because they got hit hard with the flooding.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, the rural communities certainly have old houses with leaky windows, so
and they seem to be more, they're more community,
hands-on in the
Yeah,
community and, yeah.
pull people together and do stuff, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going good. It's going really good.
You know, there's an energy fair in South Burlington on the 23rd
Of
September.
same day as our Harvest Festival.
Yep.
Wait a minute, it's not the 23rd. It's the next
30th?
Saturday, 30th, it's the 30th.
Oh, I might,
Yeah.
if you can get some information from that guy, that you
Okay.
know, that would be great, because I would love to go up there.
Okay.
working with people in Lowell. They're having an energy fair on the 15th of September, so I'm gonna go up there and
Great,
like a town fair.
yeah,
So they're trying to get a build going in February vacation of next year, which would be kind of cool. Because the only building they have in town big enough is the school.
okay.
So they have to do it when the school is out.
Right,
So, yeah, so
That's great.
they're getting a little inventive.
that's great.
So
Yeah, that's neat.
I feel my job's a little bit program management and a lot marketing,
Yeah,
which is fun.
fair enough.
It's good.
Yeah,
Okay, so Harvest Festival itself, I contacted Meredith and reserved a table, so we'll have a table on the 23rd.
okay, so I already did that with the
Uh-oh.
Chamber of Commerce, because that's who does it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not Meredith,
It's Addison
Wow.
County Chamber of Commerce.
yeah. I got,
I called Meredith and she said, great,
yeah.
oh, this
Every
is
year, every single year,
Okay,
first it
great.
was Ian, and then I've been doing it, and I just,
Isn't that strange?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know why Meredith. I mean, it's a Chamber of Commerce sponsored.
Yeah, it was a matter of, to reserve in the park, you have to contact Meredith, so she said fill out the form and, so, okay, so we've got.
That's not what the Chamber of Commerce website says.
Yeah, no one does that.
Okay,
I've
good,
never done it, and no one else does it.
good, I was going way down the blind alley.
Yeah.
Okay, great, okay, so we have a table, and can we use your tent?
Yeah.
And did you say that you ordered button-up material?
I ordered the button-up materials, yeah,
You did, so I did that, I have a box of them in my office.
great, then we'll have plenty.
Because they have new stuff this year.
Okay, maybe there's some new stuff.
Yeah,
But, I
this is the poster.
Okay,
And one of the things that when I attended you and I both attended the kickoff.
oh, that's
and,
great.
Somebody said that we should really have, this is for winter, but heat pumps are really good in the
Have
summer.
a naked bear.
Yeah, and we thought maybe we should have a naked
Bear,
bear. Yeah.
something,
But later I thought maybe one shaving its fur off,
yeah.
Because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Anyway,
somebody should contract with Vermont Teddy Bear to make a bunch of those
That's a
guys.
great
Don't you
idea.
think? I think they'd jump on that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then every, energy committee could have one.
That'd be awesome.
Okay,
Maybe I'll write to them and see what they think.
yeah,
I'll write to
If you
the,
wanna do
I'll touch base with the Efficiency Vermont person that I know.
okay.
So
Too
while we're,
bad Spence Putnam isn't CEO
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. While we're talking about festivals, we have Pocock Rocks coming up on Saturday. Are we gonna go ahead with that?
You said you were gonna do it.
We have a
That's the
spot.
question.
Do we have a spot?
We have a
Really?
spot.
Huh.
Yeah, and I have,
I thought we had decided not to do it, but,
okay.
It's so close to Harvest Fest, I
Was
was,
that our decision?
that was my decision, but
Okay,
anyone else, you said you'd go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And so we're like, if you wanna do it, you can do it, but I'm just focused on Harvest Fest personally.
got it.
I recall we were going to do it and then it got rained out and then we
Right.
kind of thought, well, now it's only going to be within a month of Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
So I think that had happened after Sally had already started getting the ball rolling with getting a table, and then it got
Yeah.
canceled and we were kind of like, well, I guess,
Yeah,
that's what I remember. I guess I could look at my detailed notes and find
No,
out, but that's what I
I-
remember.
I remember that.
I agree that's what happened, but I thought, Carl, you pumped up and said, no, I really wanna do the Pocock, and I'm like, well, fine, don't look at me, just do the Pocock. I'm just looking at the Harvest Fest.
Right, what you're saying,
So-
you've jogged my memory, Ben, and the vibe I'm getting is that we probably would not be able to pull people together
Yeah.
in the time that we don't have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I will call.
if you
Cancel our
want,
table.
you could walk around with a sandwich board on it.
I'll give that all the consideration that it
Okay.
merits.
Okay, so we're gonna feature Button Up, use the materials that they're gonna send us. They said this year, the materials will come earlier. In the past, they've always come after.
yeah, we should
the
really
Harvest
look into
Festival.
it, just to see if we're not gonna have the whole same box that I have.
well, it's coming, so,
All right,
you know,
okay.
and it's not like,
It doesn't go out of style.
yeah.
It just tends to
There's
fill up
there's
my apartment
stickers
is what
and
happens.
hats
Yeah.
and,
I can
Oh,
take
that's
some,
good.
I have room. if
Okay,
you don't.
great,
okay,
great.
all right, so that
That's
means
great.
we can be profligate in giving them away. So
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and put stickers on people.
And our site number's number 8.
Site number 8, do you know where that is?
I think it's where we were last year, which
Okay,
you guys might not know because I think maybe it's mainly Mike and I who were there.
yeah.
I was there.
Oh, yeah, you were.
I was there.
Ben.
We were
You
along
were
North
there.
Street, as I recall.
Yes,
Yes.
that's it. Thank you, Ben, for being there.
What are the hours for that? Do we know?
10 to 4 usually.
4? Okay.
And it's usually, you know, a little time before and after for setup and
Yeah,
takedown.
we'll need somebody with a vehicle that can take your tent since I don't have the van anymore.
I can do that.
Okay. Okay, so then Sally and Carl will get together
Yeah.
regarding transporting.
Yeah, sounds good. That's great.
No worries.
And
Okay.
tables, I have a table, I have a couple tables and one chair.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, anything else we want to feature there?
I like the idea of asking that question that I mentioned last time, like, to just get conversation going with people, 'cause sometimes it's hard to draw them in, but just say, like, what are some things that you've done that have really saved you money and made your house more comfortable, or made your life more comfortable around energy? So it just gives us a chance to start talking to them about what they've done and what they like
And
doing.
maybe also what their goals are.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are,
then
what
you
are
can
your
go-
goals?
Yeah,
What would you like to do?
yeah,
Do you two want to collaborate on
sure.
a question or two? We might be tired of the same question through the day.
Well, I find that you end up changing as you go, you know, it just shifts.
You know what might be cool is if we had, I don't know, we can probably find them somewhere, a couple of easels with like a big sheet of white paper
Yeah.
and write the question across the top and have
Yeah.
some markers and let people just.
Let people
Yeah.
write it.
Yeah, that's
a great idea.
that's exactly what I was gonna do. I had
That would be cool.
sheets of paper on the table.
Yeah.
But putting it on an easel, people can really see it.
Yep.
And
I
then
mean,
they
that
can
might
go
be
over
cool.
to it and they can just do it themselves.
And maybe somebody read something and then somebody else walks by and sees it and then they think it's something. It kind of like feeds off of itself a
Yes.
little bit.
Yes.
And it's like not even necessarily us like having to like approach
Yeah.
every single person because we couldn't
Yeah.
possibly talk to every single person that walks by. But they read something, they go, well, that jogs my memory about this other thing I did.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
idea.
it
A big
also
visual.
gives, yeah.
And it might
gives-
give somebody an idea. Oh my God, this worked for them, maybe I'll do this.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Do we want to drag out our case studies again?
I think it's worth having them there, you know? I've got a lot
Okay.
of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, people can look through and
yeah,
grab a case study.
okay.
I have handouts that I do at the end of an audit that outlines what the benefits are, what the cash incentives are from the state and from the feds. And there's more money out there now than there was a year ago.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Should I bring those handouts and just be ready to walk people through what's available to them?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah,
So
sounds great.
the materials that are coming, I think, save energy in your home, two-pager, 5 tips. Then there's one,
That's great. This might be different than the ones that they sent me a couple months ago.
one that I think is particularly good is the Renter's Guide to Energy Saving.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think these are gonna be in the kit. And then, or heat pumps right for you. So if we have a bunch of these things,
Yeah.
that'll give us stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there'll be no lack of stuff,
okay.
believe me.
Right.
There's one other thing, which is something we talked about earlier, the fall weatherization workshop that we were thinking about, remember?
Yep.
Are we still interested in doing that, maybe in October?
I would not have time to put that together.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if this fits into that a little bit. I went to this, have you guys heard of VEEP?
Yes.
Vermont Electric Energy, or Vermont Energy Education
It's a
Program?
program, yep.
So I went to Guilford with them a couple weeks ago, and they put on a workshop. And they have these like different tables with different like different insulating materials and different like just little different hands-on experiments. And then they have this thing with these 4 houses on a table, and they're insulated in different ways. And you're supposed to try to figure out which one is best. And they bring these like heat cameras, like
Oh, yeah.
and then like
Infrared.
infrared cameras and stuff. I don't know if something like that would be fun, but it was really kind of cool. They do it for kids, and they're trying to introduce it into things for adults.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something that we might want to collaborate with them on.
Yeah.
They would probably love to.
What if they had their table next to ours?
Yeah, we could have them bring.
Well,
their
I
little
think
house
we're
thing.
we're thinking of 2 different things, right?
Yeah.
One is the hard assessment done.
Right.
That. Now we're talking
Well, the
about
only reason I brought it up
workshop,
is
right?
whether or not, if we're gonna do the energy workshop, we
Right.
wanna advertise it.
Yes, at the
at
Harvest Fest.
But,
Right, but
This
have them
idea-
maybe collaborate with
yeah,
them,
if
Yeah,
they
for
would,
sure.
because they have some really. They already have it. They've already done it.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to do it.
They
Yeah,
call
we
it
don't have
their,
to
they call it
reinvent.
their heat. I have all the slides. I can send them to you.
Okay,
It's just kind of cool.
okay,
And it was really, it's very interactive. People come and they go to different tables, and they have like 10 or 15 minutes at a table, and they do these little experiments, and then they move on to the next one.
And was it kids and adults doing
It
it?
was just
together?
adults.
It was just adults.
But it could be both. They have done it for kids, and they're
Yeah.
trying to adapt it to adults as well.
Yeah.
so, do you wanna see if they would be interested in a Saturday in October?
A Saturday and
That we would get Holly Hall.
Yeah.
And, we would help them set up and maybe add some of our own stuff or not, depending on,
And I think we should do it for kids and adults.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Because I think you could do it with your kid.
Yeah,
It'd be really fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll get a hold of her
Have to have it
tomorrow.
early
yeah,
enough. for
yeah,
the
let
kids.
us know. I know,
So I'm trying to think how long it was.
Brian.
It was like 2 hours.
did you run into, I think it's Brian Heyerdahl?
He wasn't there.
Okay, do you know him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
He's, the son of some of our closest friends, so,
This is Sophia Donforth.
yeah,
She's the director of
Yeah.
VEEP.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you do that, then that might be a softer way for us to do this thing and
All the
maybe,
work.
yeah.
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 And we could have the efficiency Vermont stuff there.
Mhm.
Sure, oh, yeah, you still have a table, you could have all kinds of stuff people look at, same kind of
The
thing.
button up stuff, anything.
Does that make sense, Ben? Are you cool with it?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that could potentially kind of take some of the burden off of us and put it on a group that probably sort of maybe would want an in, and like we can kind of have something in October, and they can have a way to get to Bristol. And one other thing that kind of jogged my memory about just hearing Richard say October was I just wanted to make sure we were not planning on doing the electric vehicle demo thing in October. I'm not sure. That's not on the agenda. I just wasn't sure if we wanted to do that or not, or maybe replace it with the fall weatherization workshop and then do the electric vehicles in 2024 at some point. Just throwing it out there, I guess.
What do you think?
My thinking is, usually we do it October 1st or around there, the EV thing. And this would be, if we did it this year, we could do it the 30th of September, the week after Harvest Fest. If we wanted to, that's kind of the time GMP likes to do it, around then or before, I think. So it could be that we still do it. It's pretty easy to do. It's basically GMP. We don't do a whole lot. 1 or 2 of us needs to be there. But it's a chance for people to try electric vehicles, and people have a good time coming and talking about things and, asking questions. So I don't think it would be, it's kind of a different crew than comes to learn about how to weatherize their house. So I think they're both worth doing.
Do you want to be the contact for that?
Yeah,
See if
sure, I'll do that.
Okay, that's good. thanks, Ben. And we'll look at possibly 9:30, or if they can't do it then, sometime shortly after, and we'll dance with these things. The nice thing about an indoor thing at Holly, it could be later when the weather's crappy, if necessary. So,
And it can even end up being the same day, because the others are usually kind of morning, midday, 10 to 12 or something, or 11 to 1, something like that.
okay, I'm just looking here. So at our next meeting, we'll need to have these things pretty well firmed up.
Once I get a hold of Sophia, I'll email you all.
Okay,
I won't wait till the next meeting,
yeah,
because I'm hoping to get
yeah,
them
let's do
delivered
this
tomorrow.
stuff. Yeah, you're right. Okay, we have one final thing here, and I'm looking for the energy scorecard. I always have trouble finding stuff that I filed.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Did I send that out with the
Yeah,
meeting?
yeah.
You did, yeah.
I'm trying to find
Okay.
myself. This right here,
Okay,
down on that.
yeah. Let me just run through it. So essentially, the energy scorecard, this is 2021, and it rates us according to where they think we are on the 4 categories: thermal energy use, electric energy use, transportation energy use, and renewable energy generation. So if we take a look at this, the number 1, thermal energy. According to this, we have 11 additional residences to reach to meet the 2025 goal, essentially to install heat pumps in Bristol.
How
And
many?
so,
How many? Only 11?
only 11.
How do we know how many we have?
Well, here's what they say. 2016 to 2019, we installed 184 cold climate heat pumps in residences and 4 in commercial buildings, 53 heat pump hot water heaters, 12 wood heating installations, and essentially, we've satisfied the heat pump part of it, actually. Residential weatherization is where we really need to do some work, because that's where we need to try to get 11 additional residences weatherized to meet the 2025 goals. So what they're suggesting we do, coordinate with Efficiency Vermont and other weatherization service providers to encourage Bristol residents. So what we just talked about, the Energy Fair, the Harvest Festival, and the possibility of the VEAP Energy event would certainly qualify. Conduct an energy audit in municipal buildings. Obviously, we're doing that. So we are doing that. Explore opportunities to pursue funding to upgrade efficiencies in all municipal buildings. Again, we're doing that. And pursue external funding to support the conversion of municipal buildings to efficient and renewable heat sources. So virtually everything on the future implementation actions we're actually doing. Electrical energy use, what happened here? Mount St. Michael just came on. Okay. we're at electrical energy use efficiency targets. Let's see what this means. We are supposed to
Yeah, just read what they say, yeah.
reduce average residential electricity by 671 kilowatt hours a year. So what they think we should be doing, promote the use of residential and commercial building energy standards by distributing information about Vermont's energy codes. Okay, we're not doing that. Plan to encourage electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. Okay, we're doing that to some degree. Installation of municipal solar and/or wind net metering facilities. We've done that with Bristol Community Solar and Green Lantern down the road. Now the project on the Lathrop property is going up.
That counts toward Vermont's overall.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think since it's cited here in Bristol, yeah.
we're gonna take credit for it. Again, efficiencies in municipal buildings and the incorporation of electric vehicle ready standards in the building codes. So that's something we might want to look at.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do that. I was supposed to talk with zoning about that,
Okay, great.
right? I mean, I haven't done it yet, but
Okay,
that's,
so Sally's gonna take care of it.
Weren't we gonna try to get him to come to a meeting?
yeah, that's right. That's what was
We're
gonna,
gonna get, is it
Okay.
Chris?
that's what I need to do, yeah, Chris.
To try to talk about how he can share some of that with,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
in
still have
terms
that.
of vehicles, essentially, we have 231 electric vehicles in use in our area. That seems like a lot. But I'm seeing them everywhere. so-
do hybrids count? Or only plug-in hybrids?
I think plug-in, yeah, and the full electric, but I don't know. We're supposed to work with Actor to find ways in which service to Bristol could be improved. I think it's pretty damn good.
It's very good,
Yeah.
and there's just not people getting on the bus.
So
There's a lot, it comes
Maybe
like
we
10
need to-
times a day,
think through the
yeah.
coming months.
Yeah,
how can
maybe
we talk
front
that
porch
up?
forum,
Yeah,
yeah.
I still think we should have a pizza Saturday on the Actor and
So we buy pizza and
people
ride
come.
around?
Yeah,
on
just
the-
ride the loop.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Maybe
Hey, everyone,
have
let's.
a cooler with like a lemonade or something and.
I was thinking of beer, but.
Well, yeah. We could start
Just.
using the Actor bus to take people drinking.
Just, I'm not in.
Actor party bus.
They do that in cities, you know?
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's put that on a future agenda item, actor party.
Yeah, we could take the Actibus in for a particular event in Middlebury altogether and then come
The
back.
car show, October 15th. There's a classic car show in Middlebury on
That'd be
October
perfect.
15th.
Yeah,
that'd be
that would be, that's a good idea, something like that.
You know,
Just say,
Hey, get a free shuttle ride to
yeah, to
Middlebury
the
on the
car
Actor
show.
bus. Does Actor bus run on Sundays though?
No, not
Oh.
Saturday and Sunday.
So it's a Sunday.
Yeah, okay, forget it. We can't do that unless we,
Well,
yeah, we can't do that.
well, and it also wouldn't
It wouldn't, yeah.
illustrate the route and how
Right.
easy it is.
We'll have to think of something.
So we have a bike walk group that's working on all kinds of pedestrian, bicycle, and all that kind of stuff, so we're doing that. What we haven't done, and if we get the signs, I think posting the motor idling law, warning no more than 5 minutes to idle your car, could be a good thing. I've seen people sitting in their vehicles idling all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're bad. With the food
Yeah.
shelf, we, like, you know, in the winter time, people start lining up at like 4
Okay,
o'clock
so
in their cars.
we don't need to drive this into the ground. But review this, and let's just kind of use this as a source guide, and a kick in the butt for things that we can that we can do.
Yeah,
And also things we can brag about. You
Yeah,
know,
a B, I don't think there's much shame in a B minus for the overall score. Could be better, sure,
Yeah, B
but could be a
minus.
lot worse.
Yeah.
C is average, or better than
Right.
average.
Not anymore, but.
And the third page third page in, it shows Bristol's average residential electricity usage compared to neighboring municipalities. And we're third from the bottom, meaning we're third from the lowest. So yay us, and we're well below the Aspen County average. So that's something we can feel good about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that from like a use, like kilowatt hours, or is that from dollars?
I think it's,
Kilowatt hours, yeah.
Kilowatt hours per year. Yep.
yeah, what's a little interesting is, you know, by using more electricity, I mean, by getting an electric car and having a heat pump, you are using more electricity,
Good point.
but you're using
True.
less fuel. So it's tricky, you know, some of these people, the other ones, could be that there's more electric cars in those towns, or
Right.
we don't really know what that means.
It
Yeah.
is,
Right.
it's very
It could be.
complicated, you're right.
Yeah.
It could be not a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's interesting, Middlebury's at the very bottom, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would envision a lot of electric.
Yeah.
Out of all the Aspen County towns that are listed here, I would imagine Middlebury would have the most electric vehicles. And they're at the very bottom of
Yeah,
residential electricity usage.
yeah.
Hmm.
But they also have natural gas,
True,
so they might not have gotten their heat pumps.
right,
Who knows?
yeah,
It's hard, it's tricky, we don't really know.
yeah, multifactorial.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
What's the name of the power plant in Burlington?
Burlington Electric? Oh, Moran,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
the
know.
chip plant,
the chip plant.
McNeil?
McNeil, that's it.
Yeah, I just had a long sit down on that. There's it's very controversial. They want to capture steam from the plant and transport it up to the hospital so that the hospital can greatly reduce its natural gas use, which is very high. But at the same time, there are people who want to essentially kill that plant entirely.
Because so much wood is being burned, and
Yeah,
that's
and-
causing pollution in the area and stuff like that.
There's the issue of the emissions. Burlington Electric contends that they are using sustainable sources. I mean, there's this, and there's this,
Yeah.
and there's this, and there's this.
Yeah.
And
It's complicated,
the Vermont Interfaith Power and Light is trying to decide. There are people wanting to voice their opinions and have Vermont Interfaith Power and Light take a position. And my thought is we can't. It's way too complicated. We should air the positions.
Yeah.
And let people decide, but, because it is not simple.
Yeah.
For one thing, killing the plant, there's no replacement on the horizon. So then it's gonna be more natural gas.
yeah. So
So,
that's,
there's this, and then there's this. and-
that's importing
Yeah. Yeah,
fossil
so-
fuel rather than, yeah.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
I've been in contact with Floyd Davison, the facilities manager for the middle school, high school, and elementary school. I'm trying to set the time with him and Matt Sharp and myself to go into those schools and just do basically a walkthrough and get our heads up above the ceiling tiles on the top floor and see what's up there, if anything for insulation, kind of see. And Floyd is very excited about
Oh,
us
good.
coming in and doing
Good.
that.
That's great.
He is on board. So that's where I'm putting my focus for the energy community right now.
Do you want to ask him about electric school buses?
Sure.
Just ask him if he knows it.
Yeah, the worst you can do is say no.
Yeah,
But
if they're doing anything.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be great to ask that. And another is asking about what their plans are for heating throughout the different buildings.
Oh, those two different buildings.
Well, I'm thinking of the whole district,
'Cause they even
Floyd's
choose, right?
all 4 schools, right? It's not just Mount Airy. Or is he just Mount Airy?
I think he's just Mount Abe and the elementary school.
Just Bristol.
Yeah,
Okay,
just Bristol.
Floyd is just Bristol.
I believe so.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure, now you get me wondering. We'll
Yeah.
find out, okay.
Um,
What would be the 4 schools that you were thinking of?
Starksboro, Moncton, New Haven.
Oh, okay, we'll find out.
I'm just, wondering what their plans are down the road for like they have a wood burning thing now. And, you know, where are those at? Like, what's their
strategic
What's their
plan?
strategic plan for their heating and cooling?
Yeah, okay.
That's the question.
Got it.
Are they cooling in the?
Oh, probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
Probably not heating.
Yeah.
It is just heating. Yeah.
They're gonna need to in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be interesting, conversation to see both where they are and how open they are to discussing future alternatives.
Right.
Yeah.
And how can we help?
Yeah.
And there's one thing that school and municipality are like separate, you know, in a lot of ways. So it's like we're working for the municipality and, you know.
But we can advocate for
Yeah.
good policy there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All right, so I'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm
Because that
pretty
was a
excited about
question
it.
I was
That's
supposed to go
awesome.
to Floyd for.
Okay, good. Anybody have anything else? Jim, have any comments or anything?
Put Jim to sleep.
Yeah, good, and with no controversy. Okay, in that case, I think we'll end the meeting.
Oh, he woke up.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. I'll have the meeting notes out shortly.
Okay,
Thanks a
thanks.
lot.
Take care.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for being here, Jim.